Hello, welcome to Deeper Insights by Analytics India magazine, and I have here with me Mr. Shekar Sanyal of IET.
Hello.
So he is going to tell us a little bit about what IET stands for and its outlook and values.
Right. So IET, or the Institution of Engineering and Technology, is a professional society for engineers. We are very young. We are about only 146 years old as of today. We trace our antecedents back to the UK. That's where we started off in 1871 as the Society of Telegraphic Engineers. So we are the world's oldest engineering society as of date. Our Indian members have been around for the last 100 years or so. And we have been working in India and into the Indian engineering system for over the last 100 years. The IET is a multidisciplinary organization, and it works in all the areas of engineering. And essentially, the aim is to use engineering to impact society to become a better place. So our mission is working to engineer a better world.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about your upcoming event, the IET India Congress.
The IOT India Congress is the Internet of Things India Congress.
Yeah.
See, one of the things that we focus on in India is Internet of Things. Internet of Things because we believe that for two reasons. One, we believe that India itself can play a leadership role in the Internet of Things area globally. And secondly, we also believe that Internet of Things, or IoT, will have huge impact on India as a country. So keeping both of these things, we created the first and the only neutral body around Internet of Things. So you know that the Internet of Things is touted to be having a global impact of $14.4 trillion by 2020, which is a huge, huge market, right? And everybody wants a piece of it. And therefore, everybody is pushing their agenda on it. And in all this clutter of this big money, there needs to be somebody who's able to call it out as it is. And that requires a neutral body, a credible body, which is able to take this and say it out. And that's why IET, with its 146 years history, with its background of being one of the largest engineering bodies in the world, said that we will create a platform, a thought leadership platform, or a think tank, which will serve as this particular kind of a voice of reason, and will be able to tell it as it is. And that's what the IoT panel was formed from. And the IoT panel has got 9 working groups, and it has got, which are in terms of vertical, like industrial, like manufacturing, retail, agriculture, etc. And they have been working with the government, with corporates, with academia, with startups to create a roadmap for each of these areas. Now, while we are doing it individually, we also felt as we went around it that there is a huge need for getting all these people together to build the roadmap together. And that's how the IoT India Congress was born. So last year we did the IoT India Congress, where we had the senior government officials from secretaries of telecom, IT, commerce, all of them coming together. The big industry boys like the IBMs and Intel, Philips, GE, all of them coming together, the startups coming together, the academia coming together, the policymakers coming together. And we also had most of the bodies like us who are involved in IoT coming together on the same platform. So we had 17 partners who came on board, working together, including the Industrial Internet Consortium, the world's largest body working on IoT. All of them came together on the same platform to discuss the roadmap of IoT. That was last year. This year, it's become bigger. It's on the 14th and 15th of September in Bangalore, and it is much, much bigger, and we are moving forward by leaps and bounds. So, in fact, this time we have got 8 tracks which are running. We have got 2 awards. We have got the Thought Leadership Awards the second time. We've got a Startup Awards. We have got Argonaut, which is an investor pitch story, where we hope that some of the startups in IoT will be able to garner some investments for themselves. And we also have a Startup Showcase. Plus, on the other side, we have got the Secretary of Telecom coming in, Secretary of IT coming in. We've got the Secretary of Healthcare, more or less confirmed. We also have Mr. Manoj Sinha, who is the Secretary of State for IT. He's coming in, and we have a tentative confirmation from Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. So all the government luminaries who are decision makers in this are going to be present. All the big companies which are investing in this are going to be present. The startup, as I told you, are going to be present. The investors like the VCs, they are going to be present. We will have the student community present, as well as the training, learning, development piece of it, of them being present. And finally, we will have all these bodies which are working separately across. So this time, instead of 17 last year, we've got 27 bodies who are part of it. So everybody who's working in IoT in some shape or form are coming together on this one platform. So undoubtedly, this has become the biggest platform for IoT. And I think our neutrality helps because we don't have a commercial axe to grind. We are a not-for-profit body, so we don't have a commercial axe to grind, and therefore they are able to come together, discuss. People who actually compete with each other in the market outside can come together on this platform and actually can discuss things which makes the whole story go forward. And more importantly, this time it's all focused on investment. How do you make IoT work monetarily? How do you make more and more people invest in it? And how do you get more and more money into IoT? How do you commercialize it?
So since you've told us that IoT is like such a great industry and it has so many openings and everything, what are the skill sets that a young IT professional or a IoT or data scientist or an enthusiast should arm himself or herself with?
See, IoT is a very interesting area that we are in. It picks up, kind of intersects between three areas: the software part of it, the hardware part of it, and the business. It's one place where all three of them stack up together. And therefore, if you have to be good in IoT, if you have to create a career in IoT, you need to have the ability to be able to stack all these three things together. If you look at our industry currently, the focus has been always that you're focused towards your area of work, right? So you focused on that part of work which is there. But for you to be successful in IoT, you have to look at intersections. And intersections not just about these three areas that I talked about, but intersection between industries, because that's where the fun is. All right. So if you look at this, some of the listeners might know, is that if you look at insurance agent industry and the automobile industry, while they have got a connect, but at the same time, IoT offers some solutions which here too was not happening. In few countries across, today your insurance premium is linked to your driving patterns. And that comes through sensors which are provided in your car, which kind of analyze your driving patterns and sends data back to the insurance companies and say, are you a safe driver? Are you a rash driver? If you're a safe driver, your premiums come down. And if you are a rash driver, your premiums obviously go up. So in the UK, if you go and if you are taking insurance and you're less than 20 years of age, your insurance premium is significantly higher than others because all drivers below 20 years of age are classified as rash drivers by them. But this changes it. There are safe drivers for people below 20 years of age as well. So this is the intersection of two industries: insurance, automobiles, finance, all coming together. And that's where the excitement is. That's where the opportunities are. So on one side, look at how do you bring together your skills of hardware, software, and learning of business together. And on the other side, look at how do you find out those intersections which nobody is able to see right now. And there the opportunities lie.
What does India's future look like in IoT?
As I said, two areas. From a business perspective, can India play a leading role in IoT? Absolutely, yes. We are right there. The research is happening. Lots of work is happening here. We've got the talent which is here. We just need to start getting excited about looking at those intersections. And the good part is that in India we provide more number of intersections than we provide anywhere else in the world, because there are so many things which are happening parallelly. The opportunity for intersections are much higher here, because we don't work in a lot of structured ways, unlike the West, and therefore the intersections are much higher, and that you need to look at. I'll give you a few examples. Few of the people on our panel are working on. So one of the things that one of our members are working on is blood banks, for example. There is a huge shortage of blood across the country. So if you go to the blood, a huge amount of blood is less available than what is required. But at the same time, every day blood banks are throwing away a lot of blood because they cannot store it. Now there is an IOT solution which one of our panel members is working on, which connects both these things together. So you might have a shortage of blood here, and somewhere else, somebody else is throwing away the blood. How do you bring it all together and make sure that it's just in the same city? It's not even in different cities. It's in the same city. Let's say if you take Bangalore, there must be in Bangalore a blood bank which is throwing away blood, another blood bank which is unable to supply the blood. And how do you get all these things working together? So this is the intersection which happens here. So similarly, there are many, many opportunities which are available, which you can use in India. That's from a perspective of growing the business or impacting India.
How feasible it is on the actual, there are so many things that need to be considered while anything is implemented in India, from bureaucratic crisscross, whatever, to investment to actual ground level reality.
So one of the biggest hurdles, roadblock, will be the regulations that are there. For example, if you take telemedicine, for example, telemedicine has got huge impact in India and will have huge impact in India. But unfortunately, there is a law somewhere which says that a doctor in this state cannot prescribe medicine for somebody in any other state. So which effectively kills the whole telemedicine story. Now, how do you get the government to relook at that is one of the things that we want to do, because that needs to be looked at. These laws, regulations, rules were built for another era. All right, the government has to look at this, but somebody has to tell them. It's not that they don't want to, but somebody needs to walk up to them and have that conversation with them, that this needs to change and this side needs to happen. And that's the role that we are trying to play. And more people need to play that role and get involved in that. The good part is that there is no way anybody can stop this movement. You can only delay this. Now, how the role that we all have to play is to accelerate it. So bodies like the IET or the IoT panel that we have, our role is to accelerate it. That's why we're doing the IoT Congress, where we get the government to come and listen to what the industry is saying. And the government wants to make the change. So that's the good part. And hopefully, in the next couple of years, we will see massive changes in the way the government, because the economic output of what this could do is massive. And that's what I was saying. The second part is, for India as a country, it's going to make a huge difference. Because if you look at Digital India, for example, and if the last mile connectivity happens on the ground, right to the last village, then suddenly the whole way of governance of India is going to have a huge facelift. It's going to be completely different. And there IoT is going to play a massive role as to how you take the data, how do you work around it. Already the Prime Minister's crop insurance scheme, Fasal Bima Yojana, there are projects which are happening which will bring IoT into looking at micro weather, looking at how do you do the soil analysis and build a complete system around it to look at how the yields are calculated for crop insurance. Currently, we use a very archaic system, British system, which was there of calculating yield, which is no longer valid. So all these things will start coming, and when the government sees this impact on their ability to do work, I think the rules and regulations will also start moving faster.
So all in all, it's a bright future, you said.
It's a very bright future to look at. There are obviously roadblocks. There are challenges, but none of these challenges are big enough that it will stop you for a long time. So we need to look at the challenges. We need to work around the challenges. We need to build bridges. We need to get everybody talking. The biggest challenge I think that is there in this whole story, and that's not an India-focused challenge, it's an IoT-based challenge, is that all the organizations that are there, which have been doing business till now, work on what my friend Sangeet Paul Chaudhary has written in his book Platform Thinking as a pipe. All right. So they have a service or a product, and that's their core. And they build a set of ancillary services, offerings, after sales around it, and they make it into a pipe. And they make that pipe as strong as possible. And the basic concept is, if my pipe is the strongest, then I will, and the market is mine. Okay. Unfortunately, IoT will not do that. It's a platform service. So more number of people come in on the same platform, the more valuable the platform becomes. And therefore, those breaking down of those pipes and silos, which has been built over the last 200 years, becomes critical. And that's a mindset change. And the bigger the company, the bigger the mindset change. And the more difficult it is to do. And that is not something that the government or we could do. That's something that the companies have to figure out themselves and start doing. The faster they do it, the faster they get on board. And for example, if you take Uber, and if Uber said, no, I'll only work with Toyota, that's the only set of people that we work with, only work with one set of drivers. It will not work. They have to work with everybody, and all customers have to come in, all drivers have to come in. And that's the platform which the companies have to realize and start breaking down barriers and getting together.
Okay, cool. So that's that, guys. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.